Hi everybody. Just gonna get started on a few new projects. One of the things I opted to do was on the laser that I have attached to my CNC. I am going to show you. I opted to go with a new laser box that shows, everything's disconnected right now, but that shows the volts and amps, temperature will be available, as well as the input voltage as well. The reason I did that was just to be able to monitor things a little bit closer if the laser power started to go down. When lasers get hot, their power goes down, so you want to know sort of when that's going to happen, if that's going to happen, increase your cooling, that sort of thing, turn a fan on, that sort of stuff. So just when I did that, however, I did something as I was soldering everything up inside, and I managed to blow out my laser diode, which isn't easy to do, but somehow I managed to do it. George Formachev of Endurance Lasers was nice enough to send me a brand new one. And a great guy, and highly recommend the lasers. They are doing an awesome job. Also added a bit more cooling too. There's fans everywhere now. So anyway, that was one new addition. The other thing I'm going to do today, I'm just getting together, is I wanted to flip my camera around here. I wanted to do a live edge board that allowed me to like a cutting board that allowed me to have a design in the cutting board, and I needed it wider to do that. So unfortunately, a lot of the trees around Northern Ontario are softwood, doesn't make for a very good cutting board. Therefore, I wanted to do one out of ash, and a gentleman at had sold me some ash a while back, about a year ago, so it's been curing in my garage for about a year. So it's nice and dry. But the problem was that the ash boards were only about 6 inches wide each, which really isn't enough for even a real good cutting board. So, and I wanted the live edge on it. So I could have planed it all down and squared everything off and made a nice square cutting board. But what I was looking for was a live edge cutting board. So what I opted to do was take a bunch of pieces. I'm just going to show you what I started with. I started with pieces like this. This is ash. It's got the live edge on both sides, and I had a number of pieces, and what I did is I went through, and these aren't the ones I'm using, but I went through and I found some nice pieces about the same width or depth, same thickness. And what I then proceeded to do is I used my jointer to create a nice edge. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave the live edge on this one. I took it off of this one and left it on this one, on one side. So when I piece them all together, I'm going to end up with a pretty nice, that's probably about 22 inches or so this way, cutting board size. And I can actually then, once I joint everything and put it all together, I can then cut this out with my CNC or laser it out or whatever I want to do. So if you do have some live edge kicking around, don't forget you can take if you can find some nice pieces, make sure roughly the same thickness. I'm doing pretty good this way, and my jointer did a pretty nice job so far. I got to glue them together and clamp them for a while, but it looks like it's gonna turn out pretty good by the time I get everything together. So that's going to make it look like I found one heck of a wide ash tree, but I really didn't. So, and then the other thing I wanted to show you is that by the time I'm done that, once that's glued together, I'm going to use my Flatmaster sander here to sand it down to a nice fine sheet. I've got 100 grit on there right now, but I've got it's super easy to change the sandpaper and take off the top bit. I can then go down to 220 once I've got it nice and flat and make it nice and smooth. But the nice thing about this thing is that what happens with the Flatmaster sander is that as this spins, you'll see if I take a nice edge here, I'm really not moving the drum as I come across. The reason for that is there's actually a space between the drum and the wood when the drum isn't moving. However, when I turn the drum on, you're going to see that it sands the high spots. right? Leaves the low spots alone. So the beauty of that is that as I come across, I'm only using one hand now, so bear with me. You see, I'm getting to a low spot, barely touching it. So the advantage of that, turn this off. The advantage of that, see, it does take it off. The advantage of that is that this is a perfectly flat surface here and here. So as I come off, I'll take the low spots off. The other thing is, though, that with the sandpaper, what it does is it's hook and loop or Velcro, and so as it spins at high speed, it's going to lift a little bit off the drum, and it's going to create an airspace underneath the paper, which is why the sandpaper doesn't get hot. And I've been sanding quite a bit with this sandpaper, and for about a month now, and there's no appreciable wear on it. Actually, there's a couple spots where I messed up. This is my first bit of sandpaper, so I messed up there and accidentally tore it because I had the drum too high. But other than that, this has been perfect. And the beauty of it is that as I'm sanding, there's no heat buildup. So when I go to take my glue off of here, it's not going to melt the glue and smear it all over the place. It's going to take the glue right off because there's no heat buildup. Same thing with epoxy. Same thing with any plastics or anything like that that might be dripped on or onto the wood. So anyway, just thought I'd share that with you and let you see sort of what I'm up to. Because I just got back from vacation and trying to get a bit back into things. We finished building a nice deck that I'll show you in another video. We did it with composite, which is a wood and resin together, and then aluminum and glass railing. So I will show that, although it's not really woodworking, but I guess it's kind of woodworking. But we'll show what we did and how we flashed it and all that stuff. Anyway, take care and have a good week.